All right, so we're going to jump into it today with Voyager and Steve Ehrlich, their CEO, and kind of get a little bit of understanding of where VGX 2.0 is going, but also Voyager, the company. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath today. Joining me, of course, is Mr. Steve Ehrlich coming in from New York. Great to have you, Steve.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Yep, welcome back to the show. We've had you on once before, and it was a fabulous interview. We got a lot of insights on Voyager, really as things were kind of moving along. But in the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain, things move very quickly. So tell us a little about what the current state is with Voyager. I understand you guys got a new acquisition, lots of new people. Give us an update.
Yeah, in crypto world, things move lightning fast. So no rest for the weary is what I like to say, and it's usually 24/7, 365 for the entire team. So yeah, exciting times for Voyager. We just last Monday announced an acquisition of a payment company named Coinify out of Copenhagen. So when I get back to the 24/7, 365, it's truly, we're starting to get round the clock with employees. We're now over 200 employees on a global basis too, after the acquisition, and looking forward to the opportunity to add the payment world and the payment rails into the Voyager app and really service our customers deeper by allowing them to use their crypto and their USDC stablecoin, the dollar stablecoin, for payments, but then enhancing the opportunities for merchants, small to mid-sized businesses, to accept stable coins and other cryptocurrencies as part of their daily settlement.
So payment transactions, mostly from what I understand, Coinify has a lot of similarity to like BitPay, in essence, where you can plug a piece of code on your website, be able to accept Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies in essence for payment. How rolled out are they? Is this something that is in action today? Is it something you're expanding to the US? Kind of give us a framework of that.
Yeah, they do very much compete with BitPay, and we've heard from a lot of the people that we work with, that we've done business with from a marketing perspective, that they would love the payment network. And Coinify operates today. They're already embedded with merchant systems, albeit majority of it is in Europe, Asia, Latin America, and a little bit in the US, but they could expand upon that US business with our relationships, plus our banking relationships as well. And then lastly, the payment merchant that we use for domestic here, non-crypto, is going to embed UCO, public company as well, is going to embed the crypto into their merchant network as well. So we got a jump start with what they have, and we're going to just add on top of that.
Yeah, I like it. So explain to me a little bit about the transaction process and how this would fold into Voyager. You had mentioned that there's some potential here to utilize your assets on Voyager for a payment architecture. Is this something in essence of, I don't know if it would be like a PayPal, or how would you explain that process?
Yeah, a couple of ways to do it. First, it helps us launch what we're eventually going to be able to launch, which is our peer-to-peer payment network, very similar to a PayPal or Venmo. But the other thing is you'll be able to use the USDC stablecoin you have in your wallet to go pay at the merchants that are accepting cryptocurrency through our network with no fees. And so therefore allowing an efficient method of payment for both merchants and for consumers.
So I've been studying the whole no-fee approach toward this, and I'm just surprised that we haven't seen just a massive uptake on this, especially as an option for payment, especially with USDC being an option, with being able to just go right out of your wallet and into it. Obviously, with some merchants, maybe 10%, 20% of their clients are cryptocurrency holders and have USDC and maybe an application that can actually do that. How quickly do you think you'll see adoption? Because one, that's going to be very attractive to merchants. I can't imagine that they would not go this direction.
Yeah, I mean, for the merchants, there'll be a small fee, but for the consumers, there's no fee on that. But we've already seen, just in the announcement that we did last Monday, that we had hundreds, if not thousands at this point, merchants actually reach out to us, small to mid-sized companies that say they want to accept cryptocurrency. So Yes, it's code that they're going to have to enter into their websites or their POS systems, but we think it's going to be widely adopted, and we think payments is definitely the next wave of the use of cryptocurrency, especially the stable coin where there's no volatility in the
Right,
next 12
exactly.
months.
Yeah. Let me ask you on Coinify's platform, is that available now for US merchants here? Can they go into Coinify and actually set up an account, a merchant account, so to speak, and start offering the service?
They absolutely can. And there's a place on the Coinify website to actually go and download the code and integrate it into their existing infrastructure for the merchants. So, yep, ready to go. And we're
Very
getting
cool.
more and more customers actually do that.
Let's talk a little bit about kind of the evolution of Voyager. So I've been a Voyager customer for many months now. Had a chance to see the app in full featured capability, and then also I've heard and seen that there is some direction of potentially a desktop version of Voyager. How close are you to bringing that to life?
Yeah, we have a beta version of the desktop in place now that we're testing, and we're working on the scalability of that, right? And make sure that it can handle the over 700,000 funded accounts we have today, and I think we're over 1.8 million users of the platform. So we're just got to scale it, make sure that it gets scaled up. It'll take us, a few months to do that, but it is in beta testing, and we're excited by the prospects of that desktop.
I've actually experienced a little less downtime on the app. There was a period of time, I would say maybe 3 months ago, that there seemed to be a little volatility on the app itself where it was not necessarily up all the time. Has that been resolved?
Continue, scaling is definitely one of the things is, if it's not number one, it's 1A. It's a focus of ours. And obviously, you're always scaling. There's always things we're testing to make the platform better, to take on more consumers. We've had such unbelievable growth in the last 6 months that we're constantly trying to scale the platform and make small changes. It's a lot of small changes to go with big updates too. So we're getting
Yeah.
there. We feel very comfortable where it is now.
So I'm going to say that's a yes, less downtime.
Yeah,
Or
definitely
it
less
feels
downtime.
like it.
You've seen it.
Okay.
No, you've definitely
If
seen it. I think it's been less downtime with the platform, and we should have even less and less and less over the next few months as well.
Yeah. Okay, so in looking at some of the numbers in terms of overall growth of your users, and you think about active users and, in comparison, where do you see Voyager by this time? Well, let's say the end of next year, 2022, in terms of your growth numbers. Do you think you guys will be able to double in total users, or what's the goal for you guys?
We're just going to continue to grow. Our goal is always to try to double our business in 12-month increments. But the market has a lot to do with that too, and how effective we are marketing, how active the market is. We just are coming off a really slow downtime in June and second half of June and July. But we did gain a lot of customers, but the activity on the
Right.
platform, obviously across the markets, was lower. So we're just, our goal is, we have monthly goals internally for new accounts, and so far we've had hit every one of them.
Interesting. Well, if you're hitting your numbers, then the likelihood you could be at the 2 million mark, end of next year, that would be phenomenal for you guys for sure, and good for, I think, the Voyager token for the VGX holders like myself,
Yeah.
and I love all those extra bonus perks that I get. So there's some benefits to everyone, I
Yeah.
think, in the ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit about when you think of the kinds of offerings, and there seems to be, I would say Voyager is one of the few companies that has been able to kind of look at some pretty interesting offerings for if you're a crypto trader or just a holder, in the essence of mostly yield. So it comes through whether it's percentage on USDC or your Bitcoin or et cetera. How far into that are you guys going to continue to go with new tokens coming onto the market, all those kind of things? Are you trying to really expand the yield opportunities there?
We definitely are. It's one of the key reasons people come to us. We've seen a lot of migration from other platforms to us because of the yield that we give, especially on the most popular tokens in Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC and Voyager Token. This month, I think we added 2 new tokens with yield, Luna and Shiba, and we'll look to keep expanding that off some of the partnerships. And as we announced a partnership a few months ago with Blockdaemon to get more nodes, and we'll continue to add more tokens with yield because consumers want yield, especially when markets are flat like they were for 6 weeks. They might as well take yield. And USDC is a great yield product that we've 10x'd our USDC balances over just the last 3 months.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great service, I think, for anyone that's looking at using some of their treasury. If they're a business or if they're an individual, USDC is a great place to park it. For what is current yield right now in USDC?
9% right now. And if you have a certain amount of Voyager tokens, as you probably do, you get that extra 1% yield. And so you can get up to 10%, which is phenomenal in the marketplace.
That's just insane. That's okay. Steve, how do you do that? I mean, explain to our viewers and listeners, because everybody's trying to figure this out. How can someone give a 10% yield on something like that? Where are you guys being able to make money? How does this all come together for you?
You know, we do lend some of the assets out to some big parties, you know, and we've been open about that with guys like Galaxy and BitGo and Jump Capital. But at the same time, it's a marketing tool for us, very much a marketing tool to take in new customers. We have over $200 million of cash on our balance sheet. And so we use some of that cash to give back to consumers to encourage them to be on our platform. Our engagement with our platform, because of that USDC and the Bitcoin server, you know, we have consumers on our platform somewhere between 8 and 12 times a day. So it's an engagement tool, but we're well funded. So we use a lot of that. We use a lot of our funding to actually market, to give interest, give yield.
How will the Blockdaemon, you'd mentioned that Blockdaemon would be able to enable you guys to expand your nodes. Is that essentially kind of the play here, is with them being able to really kind of expand the network effect of how you guys are doing this?
It's one of the ways, and they run nodes on our behalf, so it's an outsourced node solution. So then we could stake using Blockdaemon for a bunch of other coins that we have yet to stake. And therefore, once we stake, every coin that we actually stake, we always give interest back to the consumer. There's no where we stake and take all the rewards. We don't do that. When we stake for rewards, the percentage of that goes back to the consumers.
Okay, so a little bit of loans, a little bit of node expansion. Do you guys do any kind of yield farming, et cetera, through some of the DeFi protocols that are out there to try to help expand that profitability side for you guys?
We don't. We have a very simple yield model, which is some loans, marketing. That's how we do our yield product. We don't do the yield farming. We think there's additional risk related to that, and we're not in the business of taking risk with customer assets.
Yeah, and there are some companies out there that are doing that, and I think this brings up a very interesting topic, because if you're an investor, you're looking for, one of the most secure places to park your crypto and or your USDC, or any of your assets that you guys have out there. So that's a big key, and I think a lot of people are really, in some cases, have not dove into the real metrics of what companies are doing. Whether you go with Gemini or Coinbase or Voyager, any of those, you really need to dive in. And this is just kind of a warning to all of our viewers and listeners. You should dive into really going in that direction. So thanks for answering that point blank there, Steve. Let's get into the growth of the product. So VGX 2.0. Let's talk about the loyalty program, kind of where you guys are going in terms of your debit and credit card offering. We have lots of questions from our viewers that they're interested in, all of which, all of which have kind of jumped into this. So let's start with the credit card side, debit, credit. How quickly, and do you think that's going to be something we'll see this year?
You would definitely see the debit card this year, and it will be in our, in the near future. It will be there. We've actually have the look, feel of the card. It's probably going to print in the near future, very, very, very soon. The bank itself has seen it. The bank we're using, Metropolitan Commercial Bank, MCB, has seen the debit card. It's in their final approval processes. UCO, our processor and program manager as well, has approved it. So it's close. It's really close for us. And then it's a matter of distributing and to a beta group of customers to get their feedback on it. I couldn't be more excited about the card itself. It stands out. It's different. It looks great. Our design team really killed it, and can't wait till we get it in people's hands.
That's going to be fun. Any kind of special features in the debit card itself? We've seen different kind of programs coming into the marketplace. You know, most of it's been pretty basic and benign programs like, you know, a little bit of cash back, or if they're maybe doing something in Bitcoin rewards, things of that nature. Where's your direction going with that?
It's all tied to our Voyager Token rewards program and everything we're unveiling with that program, which starts September 1st. That's how we see the debit card as part of a bigger overall rewards program, not just a debit card rewards program. And we have a couple other things we want to unveil on that program, but it's get it to market, get the feedback from the consumers, and then we'll expand on that. We have a couple of, I always say I have tricks up my sleeve to bring some things to the market, but we don't want to get it all out there in one clean swoop. We'll get the engagement and start bringing more stuff to the market.
Yeah, I like that. And of course, that's going to be tied directly, I'm assuming, to your either USD and or USDC. Would you be able to use it that way?
The key feature of the debit card is being tied to your USDC balance. So the interest we talked about, you're getting a 9% interest all the way up until the point of sale. And
That's
so you're getting
killer.
that yield. Yeah, you go to the gas station to swipe your debit card, and you're getting a 9% yield all the way up until that point. This is like the old school checking accounts that used to have yield on them. But now we know banks don't pay any yield on anything. So so that's really the key. The number one feature of that debit card is all about the yield up until point of sale.
This seems to me like this really has, I mean, we've talked with Alex over at Celsius, we've talked to the BlockFi guys and Nexo and all the players that are in this space. This seems to me like we are seeing really a true, financial revolution here in terms of where banking could eventually go. I could see a lot of people maybe replacing their entire banking ecosystem with something like this. Is that kind of the target of where you guys think this may end up in the future?
We absolutely do. And we call it, it's the financial evolution of banks and banking, where we've seen the first step of it is a lot of these neobanks that have existed. And they kind of drove the pathway for us using crypto and using, stable coins and Bitcoin for that. But this is the next evolution of financial services and banking. And we're happy to be at the forefront of that, especially, like I said, 9% up to your point of sale. I don't think anybody else does that.
No, that's pretty much untouchable, especially if you're a Voyager token holder and you've got a certain level of tokens in your wallet there. All right, so let's talk about risk here, because there is a certain level of risk. This obviously is not FDIC insured. How secure is, if I drop 50 grand in a USDC account there with Voyager, how secure is that 50K?
We have top of the line security. It's when I always talk about like 1A priority security is, that's at the top of the list. We hired our chief security officer back in January. He's completely overhauled our entire security infrastructure. But then we work with top of the line custodians such as Anchorage and BitGo to make sure the assets are secure, and Fireblocks. So we have 3 top of the line custodians that we use for security of the assets, plus everything else that Dan has put together on our platform. So we feel it's extremely secure, and customers should feel very safe with storing their assets with us.
Yeah. And I think this is the key here as many of these exchanges really kind of grow. Some of, I won't mention names, but there are some exchanges right now that are a little bit in a hot water. I've seen a lot, and we've talked to a lot within our own circle where people are moving off those exchanges and looking for new homes, which will be interesting, because I think this is probably going to be a big boom to you guys and others that will be able to kind of take that in terms of the customer base. Talk to me about the loyalty program itself. When does that? You said that rolls out with the credit or with the debit card. Is that the plan, or will that be a separate program and component altogether?
Yeah, the loyalty program comes out September 1st. The debit card will be after that. So that is set to launch September 1st. A lot of work on our UI and UX to satisfy, customers and make sure they see where levels they're at in the program. The program has 3 distinct levels. I don't recall the names off the top of my head. I should, but I just don't remember them. I think it's just old age setting in. And so I think that we'll get that launched September 1st. Debit card will come after that. And the program is set up so we have the opportunity to add more tiers and levels to that program and bring more benefits as we keep growing the program. But this is a long time coming. I know our community is really looking forward to this. And so it's the perfect timing, right around Labor Day to get that rolling.
So I think this is going to be cool because in the sense of timing wise, this is going to roll up into, will this be available to all, I'm assuming all customers, or will it be available to all customers that are VGX token holders? How does that work?
The program is based on your level of VGX token holding, but it's available to everybody, and you earn rewards in tokens, whether it's cash back on or tokens back on trading, engagement with the app, referring new customers. So we're giving consumers opportunities to move up tiers just by doing activities on the platform, which is very intriguing to a lot of retail consumers. And when you have 700,000 funded accounts, 1.8 million users, they can get the word out and start building their own reward programs and levels right from that.
All right, there was something I was looking at in your white paper that on the VGX 2.0 that was kind of struck me as interesting here, and that is unaffiliated exchange routing. Explain how that works, because you're one of the few when it comes to actual exchanges, and I want to talk further about that so people understand how you guys actually work your magic in terms of trades. But what is unaffiliated exchange routing? Why is that important?
Look, we have no affiliation, meaning that when we choose where to route the trade to, we're working with over a dozen exchanges, market makers, liquidity providers. So our goal as a retail broker is to find the customer the best possible price we can for the size of the trade that they've sent through our router, which is different. Exchanges, work for institutions. They need institutions to be an exchange because you need a two-sided order flow. You need on both the buy and the sell side. With us, we're just trying to access the liquidity around the globe just for retail consumers. We don't care where we do the trade. We care what the price is to make sure that the customer's getting the best possible fill that we can give them at that point in time.
How long have you guys been able to speed the trade up any in terms of when I initiate a trade, obviously with Bitcoin and Ethereum right now that's on a rocket ship ride, you're trying to catch it at the right time, but literally minutes can mean, a fairly significant difference in your trade. How quickly have you been able to kind of squeeze that transaction period down?
When you actually execute a trade in our platform, the price you see when you hit buy, you get that price, no questions asked. So if it takes us longer to go execute that trade and we take a loss, that's on us. So you're guaranteed that price. Many times we beat that price, over 75% of the time, we beat that price on a market order and we give you some price improvement back. So you get a better price than what you saw in the app when you actually executed.
I've got a few questions here. Coming in from our audience, Mandalorian25, shout out to you. Thanks for the questions. PayPal, other credit cards, they're doing things like this 2.9% for their processing fee to the merchant, agreement with future debit and credit cards. This kind of goes back to how you guys are doing it. Will you see those kinds of performances with your debit card?
Well, look, the network we bought with Coinify allows consumers to interact with merchants for 1% or less fee when you use those rails. If anything is being used on the Visa or MasterCard rails, you're subject to those fees. So the debit card itself will be on the MasterCard rails, but the network we bought is to go around that and to actually allow consumers to use their wallet or their wallet with Voyager and go pay to a merchant, and the merchant will pay less than 1%, 1% or less. So yes.
Merchant side 1%, customer side free, essentially.
Yeah,
So
correct.
that's a big benefit. There's going to be some big benefits there. This one also came over from Andreas Jimenez, and this is, obviously we've compared Voyager kind of to, in essence, kind of like a Robinhood. Not that there is a direct comparison, but the fact that, Robinhood is obviously doing some non-affiliated exchange trading over there for cryptos. A lot of people look at the fact that it's mobile only. There has a lot of similarities, and you kind of have a similar customer base, in essence. Even though I would say the Voyager customer is probably a little bit more pro, obviously more pro on the crypto side. But any plan for stocks?
Yeah, they've done a great job over there at Robinhood, and they've opened up the door for companies like us to be really successful. So kudos to them. We do think we have a much better crypto product than they do today because of our ability to allow people to transfer crypto in or out, the fees, no commission. I think everything we've built, we're a crypto company. We will get into stocks. We have this joint venture with John and Pete Najarian and the Market Rebellion team to bring stocks to the app, which we will do. We believe that customers should be earning interest on balances held with broker dealers and therefore yield with us.
Whew.
And we will incorporate the yield on the USDC into the ability to trade stocks to make this state-of-the-art best app out there to trade stocks.
Wow. Well, if you pull that off, then that's you definitely have something that's going to be a very marketable product. Because I think that's the challenge that a lot of people are doing right now, or having right now, is they're chasing down all these different accounts. You've got your traditional trading accounts, then you have a whole slew of crypto exchanges because you're trying to chase down an individual coin, or you're going after another exchange because they're paying better yields. It's just, I feel like right now managing all of those exchanges and places is getting exhausting. At least it is for me. And I've got, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 accounts now that I'm trying to deal with different aspects of it. But I seem to be migrating more and more over to Voyager. So you guys are at least winning that war to a certain level. I want to jump to this one here from Rugby Playa 422. Okay, he says he likes Celsius better, and mainly this is the difference between Celsius and Voyager is the payout is weekly. What are your thoughts on weekly payouts with Voyager?
It's something we're looking at. Obviously we have to change our system and so forth to do that. It hasn't been something that our customers, in the feedback, in the scenarios and the conversations with customers, that has come up very much. But if it does, it's something we will expedite, changing our process and procedure. I do think that one of the big differences between us and Celsius, and they are, a partner to us on a couple of different things that we do together as well, is that we are a public company. So the safety and security of your assets is right in your face, as transparent as can be with our quarterly and annual financial statements. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I think that well, you're right. I mean, in comparison, when you look at different companies and kind of the securities side of it, that's always a factor in trying to make a decision on that. All right. Well, I would vote for that as well. Would love to see a weekly payout. So put that on your list. And I'm sure your list is an arm length long in terms of new features and things that you guys are taking in. But good to see that you're taking in user feedback on all that. Logan Scott asked us, they want Voyager to start offering some credit, obviously the loan side of it. What are you guys thinking on that as well? Credit cards, obviously, versus debit.
Yeah, definitely. We think it's a 2022 project for us to do that, which really isn't that far away when you think about it. But we think it's, sometime in 22, we're looking at that credit card and lending products. Obviously, licensing makes, we have to look at licensing when it comes to some of the lending products, which we're working on. But that's a 22. It's part of that list. You said that's an arm long, which we do listen to customers. It's more like a Kevin Durant arm long more than a Muggsy Bogues arm long. So I'll tell you that. So it's quite a long list of features.
Know the difference.
That is true. That is true.
That's good. Well, you're there. You got the Knicks just around the corner there in New York now. Last question here from our viewers. This one came from Christina Morgan, and this is a female investor. both coins and stocks. She's got an app suggestion for you. She would love to see, interest is awesome, but would love to see the value in the app for tax tracking purposes on the number of coins received at the time you receive them, request each month. Is this possible in the future? Do you understand that question? They're looking for how, because this taxing issue is a problem right now.
It is something that we are working on. We're looking at multiple solutions for taxing. Obviously, with the infrastructure bill, taxes become the amendment, and the tax is at the forefront of some of the conversation around that infrastructure bill. Christina, you're spot on. We're working on something on that. We get it. We understand that we have to make it easier for consumers on the tax front. That is another one that's at the top of that long list, but we understand that, and we know we have to make some changes there. So look out for that in the future. It's definitely on our top of our list.
That'll be a welcome insight, because that is one of the knocks on a lot of exchanges right now, is even getting down to the point of knowing where your profitability, because on your app, that is one feature where you can see your buy rate or your buy time, what you bought a coin at, and then where you are in terms of your profit position, which I won't mention other exchanges, but you don't have that on all the exchanges that are just equally very quick, accessible. You have to kind of go into a math problem to figure out where you are on a position. Yeah. So that is a little bit of a challenge. So anything you can do on that, and especially going towards the tax side of things, is going to be huge. Let's get into Voyager VGX Token. So the token itself has been on the fly. We've got a few friends of the channel think that the token is going to just absolutely just moon for the rest of the year. There's a lot of big, activity around it, in essence, of both people talking about it, the loyalty program coming out, all of these users growth, all those kind of things that are driving this. How does the token, explain to me the process of VGX 2.0 from where you are currently in the current token?
Yeah, well, we kicked off about a week ago. We kicked off the swap. So you would turn in you'd swap your old token for the new 2.0 token. And that's mainly for folks that are holding that token in their own wallet, or they're not in the US where Voyager doesn't serve them. But this week, we're actually going to convert all the tokens that we hold on behalf of consumers into 2.0, which really gives it's a lion's share of the tokens and gives it a real kickstart. And so we'll be able to be in the swapping mechanism this week, which then gets the whole staking of tokens, which is a 7% staking reward for the VGX token, and everybody's on equal footing and moving forward on that. I think that's been one of the reasons the token has increased in value over the last few weeks. And obviously, I think the Coinify deal, where it'll allow us to get into international space quicker, more consumers. Right. It's very much one of our big followers, Patrick Ackerman, has written a paper on Metcalfe's theory related to the Voyager token. And as the demand increases, there's obviously a fixed supply, and therefore, the price should act accordingly.
So for users that are holding tokens today, they don't have to do anything in their wallet to actually get the 2.0 version?
That's correct. If you're holding the token with Voyager in your account with Voyager, there's nothing you need to do. We will effectuate the swap for you. If you don't and you hold it elsewhere, you're going to have to do it in the web portal.
Okay. So when does that take effect officially?
The web portal's been open for about 10 days now, and we're seeing, a significant amount of the tokens already have been swapped. But the lion's share of, a good chunk of them will be swapped this week by us. I'm not exactly sure which date we're doing it, but it's definitely happening this week, where we swap anything that's held by Voyager customers with Voyager.
And the 2.0, so I was reading here in your white paper, there's some sections where it says benefits are twofold, reward and incentivize our customers for the most common organic behaviors. That goes back to what you were talking about earlier, that even people can earn tokens by doing other things within the network itself. Are there going to be any additional abilities within the VGX 2.0 that were not in the previous token in terms of loyalty behavior, other than some of the earnings and the potential loyalty side?
We have a couple of things we haven't unveiled yet. We're working through. But today, when we do this, the swap and the loyalty program, it's more about the engagement. It's more about earning more tokens when you refer new customers, earning more yield, all those things that some of it were in place before, but now it really gets into a kickstart and allows us to do a lot more with it. And we have a couple of other ideas we're betting out with our hero community, because the Voyager's token holders have started their own Voyager Token VGX hero community. Then they're great because they're giving us a lot of ideas on how we can actually maximize the token.
That's going to be cool. I want to jump to the tokenomics. I don't know if the control room can bring on my screen, but the tokenomics, you've got the VGX to 2.0, 1-to-1, LGO token to VGX 2.0. You've got a rate here of that. Explain that on the LGO exchange rate.
Yeah, there was about 217 million LGO tokens. And when we acquired LGO back in December, that's the entity now that is registered in France to allow us to get into Europe, and especially France and then Europe. For every 6.5 tokens you hold of LGO, you'll get one of the VGX 2.0.
Okay, cool. First year's annual reward 7%, and then the circulating supply for VGX holders, you can kind of see the LGO, but 222 million, 40 million tokens year one, 20 million in year two, and then 10 million years 3 through 8. So the new circ is going to be around 300 million, 295 million or so. That's a pretty stout tokenomic there in terms of value base for the size of growth that you guys are experiencing within the Voyager network itself, user side. If you guys see a lot of users coming on, credit card, loyalty, all these things, this could really take the VGX token kind of up in terms of value pretty quickly.
Well, it's back to what we said earlier, right? I mean, there's the fixed supply of 295 million and a growing demand. And so usually, tokens or anything economic acts accordingly when that happens. Look at Bitcoin today. There's 21 million ever in Bitcoin, and it's almost 19 million now that it's distributed. Lack of Bitcoin supply in the market, a lot of demand. So, it should act accordingly. And that's how we built the Voyager token economics, around that concept of limited supply and growing demand.
Last thing I want to show here is for all of you token holders, and for those of you who are not holding VGX token, this is a good example of their loyalty program on the Adventurer, which basically you're holding 500 tokens, then you go to the Explorer level, 5,000, and then 20,000 on the Navigator again. But your staking rewards is amazing that you're holding that at 7% on all levels, so that's a great deal. And then you get the yield booster at 0.5%, a 1 and a 1.5. Cash back on trades 1x, 2x, and 3x. And then you've got some really good Refer a Friends program. How does the Refer a Friends program, that goes directly into the VGX token when that occurs, is that correct?
Correct. So if you're a VGX token holder and in tier 1 and you refer a friend and they open an account, and I think it's open in fund, so if they fund with $100, trade $100, you'll get $30 worth of VGX token back to you as your reward for doing that. So again, you could start accruing rewards at very low levels.
Yeah, this seems almost too good to be true, Steve. When I look at the values on everything you guys are offering, sometimes I always question this when it looks so good, so juicy. What's up here, Steve? You're just trying to grow.
We're just trying to grow. Look, I think that's what our investors want. Our equity investors, being a public company, they want to see us grow accounts and grow AUM on the platform. And we've been very successful doing that and want to continue that. And we realize the value of a rewards program. And I think all rewards programs over the next 5 years will be digital. And we are going to use our rewards program to help, satisfy them. We always say we work for 4 constituents. We work for our equity investors, our token holders, our customers, and our employees. And we build programs to satisfy all 4 of those. And if we do a good job on all 4, everybody wins.
So this program, in analyzing, and I've looked at a lot of different programs throughout this year, especially because it seems like there's a lot of programs that have got to a certain maturity level. They've got a little more sophisticated in terms of their loyalty, how they're running their internal token, how they're tying it into cashback rewards, et cetera, debits, all those kind of things that play into this. Any plans for you guys to white label this? Because I would think there would be some very interesting partners in the marketplace that would say, why don't we run it under the Voyager platform since you guys have already done all the work? Any plans of going that direction?
We haven't, we've talked about it. We think, we'd rather work with some partners at this point on bringing some of their rewards and some things we can help for them as merchants to the Voyager token and build a deeper rewards program. So, free pizza somewhere or free something else or some discounted benefit by going to an amusement park. We think there's a lot of things we can do with a lot of other merchants, especially if they're on the VGX, the Voyager Pay, the Coinify network. There's a lot of things we can do coupling together.
Yeah. I'm assuming that you would be able to pay in Voyager tokens on the Coinify platform at some point down the road?
Absolutely. That is part of our plan.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, this has been great, Steve. I love the fact that you guys have, one, the amount of change that's happened just since we had you on the show a couple of months ago. It's been unbelievable, so kudos to you and your team, especially on all the strategic moves, for sure. But thanks for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. Always great to come chat with you. You guys are super well informed and love the conversation. So thanks again for having me.
All right, Steve. Thanks so much. All right, so you guys listening in over on the podcast side, make sure and give us some stars over there if you're on Spotify. And we've been getting a massive audience on Spotify, so just hit that follow button there on your Spotify app. That'll make sure you get the update on the next podcast available, which basically takes our video right here, we convert that to an audio, you get it over there. So if there are showing charts or if we're diving into tokenomics or something like that, the number one thing you can do on the podcast listeners is jump over to YouTube right now, just search the Paul Barron Network, you'll find it all. And of course, subscribe and make sure and give us some feedback. Tell us what you like, just like we show a lot of our viewer questions and interest areas. We love to do that with all of our comments, so you can, of course, hit us up there. And if you want to reach me directly, just hit me up on Twitter, @Paul Barron. Catch you next time right here on TechPath.